put it. So I was ready to go either way. So first thing I did this morning was I got up and got to work, and I'm tired, but I'm here with you. So perseverance, I think, is all of it. And if you quit, it's what's those things. It's not how many times you get knocked down; it matters how many times you get back up. Success is moving forward.
Right on, Tom. Right on, John. Welcome, Tom. Hey, so not the smartest guys in the room. We just went live here, so we'll join Tom. Tom, we talked about, we're starting off coming out hot talking about hernias. We're coming out hot talking about perseverance. We were saying, hey, there was an election last night. We can't, no matter what side of it you're on, it's a new day today. So like John said, he went to bed. He got up today and he's still living his life, and you figure out how to live your best life however you can. And I always want to be, and maybe it's naive, but I live in a world where I'm always hopeful of the next day. So, hey, maybe everything goes right. Maybe the two parties can be nice to each other. Maybe we're all better off. Who knows? But I'm hopeful as of today. So welcome, Tom. Welcome, Tom. What's that on your shirt? It looks like a pizza, but it's not a pizza. I'm looking at Tom on the live stream.
There's it's a tequila brand.
Okay,
it's
not a pizza.
Flowers. It's a skull. Like okay. It's a sort of Day of the Dead-esque skull, sort of Dia de los Muertos. Like the sort of decorated skulls that you see in Mexico a lot. It's a tequila brand.
Fair enough, Tom. Well, it looks from this half of it looks like it could be a pizza with pepperoni on it. When you leaned back, I saw it is not pepperoni. It is the skull. So
it'd be some weird shaped pepperoni, buddy.
Yeah,
I don't know what kind of pepperoni you're eating out in Pittsburgh, but here in New York, the pepperoni's round.
Oh yeah, it's round out here. Okay, so we're talking perseverance today, Tom.
That was your idea. My idea.
That was your idea.
I was a couple of minutes late. I just want to apologize to everybody. I was a couple of minutes late getting here this morning. My apologies. As I said to Dom when I texted him to let him know I was running late, it's not election related, I promise. But yeah, I apologize. I was running a few minutes late. I am recovering from a stomach bug, and I got held up. So apologize. But I'm here. I'm glad to be here. To talk about perseverance. And if I could, Dom, I was going to say, I don't mean to hijack, but obviously I do because I'm doing it.
Have at it, man. Have at it. Go on, my friend.
Obviously I do mean to hijack the conversation because that's exactly what I'm doing. But yeah, here's what I was thinking about when I suggested this as a topic today. And here's where my brain is when it comes to perseverance. I think that we often think of success, particularly or just when we think of that word, right? When we think of the word success, we often sort of picture in our minds this idea of like crossing a finish line, right? That success is getting to somewhere, right? And I think that's in most cases wrong. Success is not about getting to a place, right? Success is not about crossing a finish line, particularly when we're talking about our businesses, right? That's not how we measure success in business, right? Success in business is measured as progression or progress over time, right? Sorry, my word escaped me for a second, but let's try that again. Success is measured in business as progress over time, right? It's not measured as crossing a finish line. There is no, if you want to have a successful business, it never ends, right? It doesn't stop. There is no finish line. If you want your business to be successful, one of the measures of success in business is sustainability over the long term and consistent growth over time, progress over time, right? That's success. And that kind of success is only achievable if you persevere or through perseverance, right? It is only achievable if you continually push forward, if you work to grow, if you take concrete steps towards progress. That's the only way that success is even achievable, right? So, when we talk about measuring success, especially in business, I want to encourage people to stop thinking about a finish line. Stop imagining a finish line, right? It's not about getting to the finish line. It's about taking the next step, right? And then taking the next step, and then taking the next step. It's not even a marathon, right? People say, oh, a business is a marathon, not a sprint. It's not a marathon because it never ends, right? Marathons are over after 26.2 miles, right? The marathon of business success in business is never over, right? It is a never ending pursuit. And the only way to achieve any measurable success in that, and I think there are a lot of parallels that can be drawn from what I'm saying about business, but the only way to achieve measurable success over time is through perseverance. And perseverance will drive progress over time. So when things feel difficult, the key to remember is that as long as you keep pushing forward, you will find some measurable success. So that's why I wanted to talk about perseverance today.
Well said, Tom. You made me think of benchmarks and metrics along the way. Like when I was young and started a restaurant, I think I went into it to start a restaurant. And when I opened the doors or a Friday night, everybody, when it was packed, I think I was like, yep, I did it. And then I really don't think I had a plan other than that. And then like a year later, I was looking at second locations and I was like, yep, but I had no plan, right? Right. So there was no logical next step. There was no, I didn't think about, like now I think about benchmarks, metrics, measurements, how often, how many clients, all that kind of stuff, but I didn't then. So, all right, Beth, let's talk about perseverance. Do you persevere? What do you think, Beth? What's going on in your world?
Yeah, good morning, guys. I'm glad to be in here, and I hope you're feeling better, Tom. And yeah, perseverance. John knows that um, myself being a law enforcement wife, right, for over 23 years. Um, you gotta just be have that in your pocket. You better have it in your toolbox, ready to go, because you can be in the middle of a birthday party for your 1 year old, and out of nowhere dad got called to work. And you just have perseverance to, sorry, excuse me, continue to move forward, right? The party can't stop because dad has to go to work to get a bad guy, or dad has to go to work to do whatever possibly it is. Um, but perseverance has been a lifelong thing that I think my father raised me with, because my dad would come in and say, I'm tired. I got to go to bed. I got to get up tomorrow and open up my company. Can you please get the trucks off the mountain if it snows? Right? I didn't want to stay up when I was little to look at the weather and listen to the National Weather Channel call us and all that kind of nonsense, but that's perseverance. That puts you to the person you are, right? Who are you? And what do you leave back to the world that's watching who you are? It all comes from perseverance. You just move through what you got to get through, and you'll get there, and you'll grow as you're doing it.
Beth, good stuff. And your dad sounds like a hell of a guy too. And my dad has a business. He's been in business 50 years. I thoroughly admire him and look up to him. But 50 years, the guy never complained. Showed up for work every day, like worked 7 days, all this stuff. Like, I mean, like a man among men, like where I'm like, shit, I got to do better. But set the bar so high of never giving up, believing in the business that he was in. So, uh, well said. And so would you think, Beth, that your perseverance comes from family, or was it learned from seeing your husband out on the force, or were you a high school athlete, or where do you think that root of it came from? Was it dad?
I think it came a lot from my dad, but actually, now that you say, yeah, an athlete, I was a cross country runner out of the state of West Virginia, pulled up the top team in 1996. But Yeah, I think a lot of it had to do with that. I mean, we would get up and people don't think like northern states are warm. Oh no, it gets hot, right? And we would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, get out there and run these mountains, turn around, run down, throw up, get back up. The coach would not let us stop. It was like you threw up once, get back up here now and turn around and go back down and throw up again. Um, it really depends on how much you're willing to give to get to the place you want to get to. And a lot of people, I think John, I've told him this story of being a cross country runner, and we did win states, our team, but we got to a mountain and it had just rained down in Berkeley Springs. And we looked at it and we're like, the rest of this group can't get up here. They're not going to make it. So we made a chain. We got them up to the flatland. And once we got up there, we let them go. If you keep up with us, keep up with us. But we pulled you back up to get to where you need to go. And now we gave that to you. Keep going.
That's a cool story, Beth. Thanks for sharing that. And I appreciate the going back to sports. I would say, it's funny. We had I played football in high school, and we definitely had our defensive coach on the varsity team when I was in high school. Was one of those guys that would literally run us until somebody started throwing up. I in hindsight, I don't think I ever really found that super motivating. Personally, it didn't really work for me. It just kind of made me angry. Which is funny because now I'll go and do races, and like when I run a short distance race, like a 5K, I have often said, and I am quoting other people here when I say it, but I've often said to people that if you don't feel like you're going to throw up at the end of a 5K, you didn't run it hard enough. I've probably said, Dom nodded. I might have said that to him before, or maybe have said it in here, but, at the time I didn't find it motivating, but I think as an adult, I've gained an appreciation for the idea of, pushing yourself to the limits and ultimately, kind of finding, satisfaction in it. What people often call type 2 fun. So, anyway, it's an interesting story, and I appreciate you bringing it up and sharing that story from your time as a cross country runner. Definitely a good anecdote. What about, I know, Chris, I know you're not a runner, and you're definitely not doing a 5K till you puke. But what about you? What's a source of, inspiration or what pushes you to persevere, and to push forward and try to keep making progress in your industry? I know you're often kind of fighting against the current. So what keeps you pushing?
Well, first of all, thank you for misjudging me. I was a quarter-mile track star. Also did the cross country, and I was a lot smaller then. But thank you for judging me. I appreciate that. I understand.
I'm just saying, the Chris I know ain't doing a 5K.
Oh, Chris, you got to do it now. You got to do it. Hey,
I got to do it.
Let me give my buddy Jimmy. I hear you. I listen to you. My buddy Jimmy tells me sometimes, don't assume. So I might assume too much. Tom, you're guilty, man. Go on, Chris.
Thank you, Dom. Appreciate it. What perseverance for me is after I got annihilated. I think you were around that time, Tom, where I got just annihilated by a 130-pound dog, and I had to go back to work 2 days later after getting out of the hospital. I was sitting in the hospital and I was watching this, recovering, watching this sports stuff on TV, and Deion Sanders said, and it saved me. He said, "I don't have bad days, I have bad moments," and that's all about perseverance, and that's what got me through. And I really appreciate it. Again, Tom, thanks for prejudging me. I appreciate
that. I love it when you try to play the victim, Chris. But I mean, I don't know. You might be fooling some of the other people in here, but you ain't fooling me, buddy.
I feel bad for how you treat Chris. So
I would bet money that Chris is laughing right now. So, like, for anybody feeling sorry for him, he's probably laughing right now. Believe me, Chris. There it is. Chris has he's got a very thick skin. He dishes it, he can take it. He's a big
Who believes Chris? Put it in the comments. All right, let's go on. Perseverance, Dr. Tachi, starting a media empire, starting Media Scope. How many times have you been like, and you like, shit, is this the right path? Is this going to catch on? Or you get somebody new, or how does perseverance play a part in building your brand?
Okay, there we go. Good morning, everyone. Perseverance is key because for me, there's no reason to do it if I don't have the will to persevere, because everything, especially in media and the things that I'm doing or whatever, there's a lot of competition. There are a lot of other people already doing certain things, but I'm like, well, I just persevere because I know everybody is not like me and I'm not like them, right? So that's the thing that gives me so it's important, and I get the strength to persevere because I know that the net message / services are needed in some way, shape, or form. So brief answer.
Thank you, Dr. Tachi. So same question I asked Beth is there a point in time where, like, I could say, like, I mentioned my dad, but I could say, oh, I got cut from the team in 7th grade, and then basketball team, and it hurt like hell. And I went in the driveway and made like that cutting motion across my neck. And I saw my mom and we had a farmhouse. I could see her in like the front, like probably sadder than me. And that persistence probably started right there of, I'll never get cut again. And so was there a moment or something like that for you where you're like, no, from now on, I'm leaving the corporate world, or I'm doing this, I'm taking this path, and perseverance is leading the way?
Oh yeah, definitely. So the thing is, when you, for example, I'm a professor and I'm still a professor, but just not full time anymore, like I used to be. So when you go to graduate school and you are looking to get into the professoriate, the path is always, teaching, service, research, and that type of thing for the good of the field and for the good of the students and the community, not necessarily yourself. So when I remember I had applied, the way you could get promotion, the school I was at did not have tenure. So they had a series of continuous contracts, right? And then they also had opportunities that you could apply for grants for different things, right? So, and there were small, like, micro grants. So I had applied for one, and I remember I did not get it. And they said, oh, well, unfortunately, then they were like, well, try again next time. I was like, huh, nope, because never again am I leaving my destiny to get money in your hands for somebody who doesn't want me to have it anyway. So there tends to be this, quote, poverty mindset in the academy because you're supposed to serve, and how dare you want money, or how dare you want me to fund something else. And I mean, nobody will say it, but it's there underlying. So from that point, I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not leaving my monetary destiny in anybody else's hands. So that was a time.
I mean, that makes sense. And I think you're well put to not leave your destiny in other people's hands. I think often, people assume or kind of hope for the best from other people, and are occasionally, and probably more often than you would like to admit, disappointed by the outcome, right? And I learned, in my life, kind of anecdotally, to what you're talking about, Dr. Tachi, I, in the entertainment industry, I spent a lot of my career as a freelance independent contractor. And as an independent contractor, every project I worked on, every job I went into, it was my responsibility to advocate for myself, No one was going to do it for me. There was no union. There was no collective bargaining. There were sort of industry norms, but there was nothing written in stone that said they had to pay me a certain amount, or they had to give me, certain allowances, or they had to agree to certain hours, or whatever the case may be. As an independent contractor, it's kind of wide open. And so I learned also, and spent a long time having to advocate for myself in those circumstances. And I genuinely think that has served me very well when I went into business for myself, when I started Talex Media, in my relationship with clients, right? In that I am happy to be firm on my pricing structure, be firm and fair on my pricing structure. Whereas I think a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs starting out, they think, that they should give in to every discount request, right? Or every rebate request, or every pricing negotiation that a potential client throws at them. And yeah, so I think it's one of those things that you have to always remember that you cannot control the behavior of other people. The only person's behavior you can control is your own, right? And so you have to advocate for yourself. So I think that's a point well made, and one that's really important if you're going to persevere, create progress for yourself and find success. That you have to advocate for yourself too. You have to believe in what you're doing and put value on the work that you do. So I think that's a point well made, Dr. Tachi. Thank you for that. Alex, you are up next. How do you persevere? What do you draw inspiration from to keep you pushing forward? Alex, there you
Sorry
are.
about that. The mic was a little sticky today.
All good, all good.
I was listening to what you were saying, Tom, and I'm an entrepreneur as well. I've had my company for about 15, 16 years now, and I teach CPR and first aid. It's my own company. I have a couple of employees, and the best and worst day was when I had to hire somebody, because it was scary as anything, because I'm making a contract with them. And my and this might be a little cliche-ish, but my wife's a teacher, so she has a quote unquote normal paying job, and it's so up and down sometimes. So what motivates me is making sure we can get everything covered. It's been very challenging the last couple of months. I mean, my business kind of plummeted a little bit. Just people weren't, for whatever reason, people weren't signing up. It wasn't just me; it was the industry for whatever reason. And you got to make it happen. And I'm a firm believer that you make your own luck. Coming to these type of rooms and a lot of different things on Clubhouse and people I've talked to, the power of positive thinking. I'm not saying I do it every day, because I don't. I need to do more of it. That's why I'm in rooms like this. But I really do believe you make your own luck by putting yourself in a position to be successful. And I, when it comes to pushing yourself in perspective, I have going back to a sports analogy. My daughter started lacrosse, and she's 9 years old, and I told her we got to practice every day. I'm really into the whole Kobe, Mamba mentality when it comes to sports. And I need to listen to myself a little bit more. And the first month in March, she was awful. It always ended in crying. Now, we're in November. I think we're in November. She can throw and catch both hands. She can do everything that she can do. And people are like, "Oh, she's a natural." No, she's not natural. I tell her that every day. It's because she works hard, and she works her ass off. And if I could have 1 ounce of what she does that I torture her through, I think I would be, even more successful. But I mean, like I said, I've been really just trying to focus in, because I think perspective is this: when it's, you can't take the highs too high and you can't take the lows too low. And I think that's the one thing that I need to work on myself. And with the way stuff has been going, I've had a couple of hits, but we're just pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps. So it's nice to see people like John and Jason, friendly faces, and people like you, Tom, it's nice to hear that, because I'm also doing a podcast in the entertainment industry, and I'll cut it off really quick. We ended up getting in the junket circuit because of our hard work. So it was really kind of neat doing that as well. So I'll let you guys back.
Hey, Alex, man, appreciate the vulnerability of you sharing that with us. And man, we all go through hard times, man. And you sharing that helps each of us as well. As a business owner, you can clap or not clap or think I'm crazy for this. Sometimes the scariest time as a business owner for me is the day after you make a sale. Yeah, and then you're like, uh-oh, where's the next one coming from? So now granted you have funnels and you work hard and all that, but still sometimes when you're up, like to your point, you should be up. And I talked about me and my dad talking about business and him being in business 50 years. You get paid, and that day you're rich, and the next day you made half that much money, and the next day another half, and the next day another half, and another half, until somebody comes again. So we hear you, man. We support you. I will tell you, Alex got himself two new followers on Instagram and Twitter, and those two are me. One new, two places. So appreciate you. Anybody here, please put your information in the side, in the chat, and we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you watching on Twitch or LinkedIn or where else we at, Tom?
We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, and we're on Twitch. Those are the places we live stream. Eventually, I'd love to get us up on Instagram, but it's a bit of a tricky beast to make that work. But I'd love to have us up on Instagram as well at some point. It gets a little bit complicated. Their interface for streaming is not the best, but things have been moving in a positive direction in terms of streamlining that. So hopefully at some point we'll also be able to get up on Instagram for streaming as well. But yeah, we're right now, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, and we're on Twitch. And then and I just wanted to throw in one other thing, Alex, just an observation or a thought that I had as you were talking about working with your daughter to help her develop those lacrosse skills. Personally, I like lacrosse a lot. I played lacrosse from middle school through high school, and it was actually my favorite sport. Unfortunately, I hurt my knee playing football my senior year in high school and missed my senior year of lacrosse, but I was planning to play in college as well. So I really loved lacrosse. And one of the things that occurred to me is that you have sort of created, whether she wanted you to be or not, you've sort of become her accountability partner for her lacrosse skills development, right? And you've held her to account, and you've worked with her and gotten her to persevere and develop those skills through hard work over time. I think when you talked about employees and hiring employees, like I just hired an employee on Monday of this week for my business. And I think one of the things that I'm quickly realizing, I've hired a lot of people on project bases in the past, and I've hired a lot of people with other people's money when I was running projects for production companies and television networks back in the day. But when you hire somebody for your own business to be your employee, or to be an independent contractor on an ongoing basis for your company, when you establish that kind of relationship, they can serve as a bit of an accountability partner for you too, because you are accountable to them. As you said, you've entered into that contract, and now you have to show up and deliver because you've made that commitment. And sometimes I think for some businesses or for some entrepreneurs, that's the push it takes to really push your business sort of, to use a cliche, to the next level, whatever that might be in your industry or for your organization, but to push to grow your business. It's easy to get stuck in the sort of solopreneur space and max out your growth there, and then just kind of say, well, this is as big as it's going to get, and never take that leap to bring on team to help you grow beyond. But bringing on that team in and of itself can be the triggering event that actually causes that growth, because it can hold you accountable over time. So that's just an observation I wanted to point out from what you talked about there. What do you think, Tom?
I think you guys are killing it today. I am glad to be here. Not the smartest guys in the room. Alex, Dr. Tachi, Chris, John, Tom, Jason, Eric, Michael, we're coming to you. Brian Swift, how you doing? Thanks everybody for being here, for checking us out. We always say, like, if you chose to be here, thank you. If it was for 5 minutes, if it was for 10 minutes, if it was for an hour, if you come back every couple weeks, every week, like our man John Jay. John Jay, I've been sharing reels with John Jay because he drops knowledge. Like last week, he dropped the knowledge about your marketing being like a table. And John,
Well, the way I shared, I had my wife watch that. She goes, "Man, you really sound like you know what you're talking about."
See, I clip aside. You sounded good, man. So,
That sounds
good.
I was gonna say that sounds like the properly backhanded compliment of a spouse, right? Wow, you actually that sounds like something my wife would say to me.
Yeah. So John, we're going to go to Michael next. Before we go, John, it was a great, like, we try to add value to your world as, like, whether it's publishing, podcasting, video production, social media management. So would you just explain, if you don't mind, and then I'll make sure I clip it right now. If you don't mind, John Jay, would you explain the marketing table concept again? Stool.
Yeah, what that was the reference to was people were talking about they only rely on word of mouth, and that's great. It's an awesome thing, but you have no control over word of mouth, and big companies cannot survive just off word of mouth, because with the word of mouth is positive and negative. So we use the analogy of a stool. When you have at least 3 legs in a stool to be fairly stable. If you have 4 legs, you're going to be more stable. So word of mouth is one form of promotion, social, search, paid advertising. That's 4 legs. And when you do that, you're going to be in a much more stable platform. If you have a position where you're using a stool, it's only got 1 leg on it, the moment you hit a little bump and you lose your balance, you're going to be on your ass and you're not going to do well. So put as many legs as you can under that stool, you'll be more successful.
It's knowledge, right? Who clap for John, as you worked on that, I think last week, like, I like you were getting to all 4 of, you mentioned it, and then it's like today you have all 4 of the pillars. Yeah, paid this. So well done, man. And we talk a lot about in this room about crafting a message, whatever the message is. Like, let's say if I say I'm going to share inspiration, positivity, and smiles 24/7 and help other people do the same. That's my goal, put out as much inspiration to the world, positivity to the world, smiles to the world. Yeah. Okay. Well, if I want to do that, that's good. But if I'm truly trying to do it, if I help other people do it, then that's triple amount. So that is a concept that I continue to work on, craft, and figure out better, more effective ways to do it and how to clarify that. So that's the message of the stool. So, all right, let's go on here. Not the smartest guys in the room, talking persistence. So, Michael, haven't seen you for a while. How are you? How do you persevere, my friend? What do you got for us? Michael's in Kenya, it says. So I remember him coming through here before. Go on. What do you got, my man?
Yes, I'm Michael Mondi from Kenya. I'm so glad again to join you today this evening. What I persevere so much is my passion for serving the community. Here in Kenya, we do community work with an organization called Mono Africa. Mono Africa is a charity-based organization that is in the inner part interior. That is the western part of Kenya.
Hey, Mike, you're not trying to interrupt, but your mic's a little low, or you might have to speak up just a little bit. Go on, man.
Okay. I'm saying now, can you get me?
Yeah, that's better. Go on.
Yeah, I'm saying that what I persevere for is my passion for serving the community. Here in Kenya, we work with an organization called Mono Africa. Mono Africa is a charity-based organization that operates here in Kenya, and we are found in the western part of Kenya, that is in Nyanza. So what we persevere so much because we don't have much resources, but the little that we can collect, the little that we get, we use to distribute. One of the things that we do educational scholarship to the needy and vulnerable children. That is the core thing that we do, because right now many people are unable to go to school, having the funding model for institution, the capitation fee that the government always releases has delayed so far. Now you'll find a lot of children are at home. They are unable to go to school. Now, when we come in, we try to come with a solution to look at now what can we do, because if you don't save the life of these young, beautiful boys and girls, then we are missing our country, because we believe that they are the future leaders. Now, their leadership of future, I mean of tomorrow, ought to be changed through education, because education is power. When you educate one person, you have empowered the entire community. Now we also save them, for example, the girl child from early teen pregnancy, where they might get some cheap money from some gentlemen and in exchange for sex. We also try to save them from drug menace, drug addiction. We also try to save them from theft and such kind of things. Now, that is the first thing that we do. We walk door to door, identify those who are willing to go back to school, even to them that have given birth and are still young mothers. We try to take them back to school. That is one. Another thing, because remember, we are on the slope of Lake Victoria, and at times we get the backflow of the water from the lake, which really affects the people on the other part of the land. So far, we are trying to come up with a strategy to see on how we can build them some good houses, because so far many have been displaced by the water, by the surging water coming back.
So, Michael,
So
how can we as a group? It sounds like you're doing good work. Like really work that lifts your community, lifts the country. How can we help you? You have a link that you can share, or I mean, you better, like, I'm sure people here think, wow, this guy's doing good work and we're giving you positive vibes and prayers. But is there a link or something that you'd like to share, or a website that you want to shout out before we move on here? So what do you got for us?
yes, well, we have a website which I can share with you. It is
Go on.
www.monoafrica.co.ke.
There you go, my friend. All right. Hey, thanks for the good work you're doing. Make sure you put that over in the comments and we'll check it out, follow you, and see what you're working on. All right. So let's continue this rolling. Thank you, Michael. All right. Not the smartest guys in the room. Talk about perseverance. Michael's trying to fix up a whole country, not just himself, not just a community, a whole country. So well done, my friend. You're setting the bar very high for us. Okay. Talking perseverance, Eric, I've been following you like crazy on Clubhouse. I find myself wanting to be in more and more of your rooms, because every time I hear you talk, I am getting good stuff. I'm taking notes. I'm like, yeah, this guy's pretty smart. So, Eric, perseverance in business. Is it something here's what I wonder. No, so don't get me sidebarred like that. I wonder if Eric has to persevere, or when you got a perfect beard, like I see in his profile picture, cool jacket on like he wears, big smile, does everything just work out for you? So, Eric, that's what you have to explain to us. Go on.
Well, thank you. I've been listening to the conversation, and there's a blend. Either there's a blend, or I'm not seeing the distinction clarified between perseverance and resilience. Because perseverance is having an objective or a goal in mind and getting there no matter what obstacles or routes required. Where resilience is that standing on the shore and getting crashed by the wave, and standing up and be willing to stand again. And I feel like some people are talking about resilience. Like, yeah, I get up and I do it every morning, even though I don't want to do it, but I got to get it done because my dad told me to do it. That's resilience. unless you can, in the same breath, define like I do it every day because my dad told me to do it because I want to achieve building the Great Wall of China, and it takes one brick after another. And I think where we end up in the burnout cycle is when we confuse resilience for perseverance, or perseverance for resilience. When we lose focus of why we're standing up over and over and what we're moving towards, and we get caught up in just getting back up and starting over, getting back up and doing it again. And sometimes take a moment and sit your ass down and figure out if getting up is the right strategy. Because in business, a lot of times I thought I was heading in the right direction. So I kept standing up and going to stay to it. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do another Facebook Live for the 355th time because it's going to turn out to be great. And then finally I was like, wait, you idiot, you're failing to put a call to action in it. You could do it another 10,000 times and it wouldn't work. So resilience, perseverance, commitment, got to be clear on what you're working for. I'll close out there.
No, good. Go on. Well, first, good stuff, man. I appreciate the clarification, and I guess you're saying it's all about the why. So, Tom, continue there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, to your point, Eric, yeah, there is such a thing. It is possible to persevere and not actually accomplish anything because your perseverance is misdirected, right? That you're essentially banging your head against a wall that you are never going to get through. And therefore, you can persevere all you want, but you're never going to find success through that perseverance. Continuing to try to do something despite difficulties, right? And resilience, obviously, they're related ideas, right? Resilience is, the ability to adjust or recover from adversity or to adversity. I think they're definitely related. They go hand in hand. But I think the broader point that you were kind of making at the end there, and I think it is worth saying, is that make sure what you're doing, make sure you're moving, you're trying to persevere at something that is at least theoretically achievable, right? Because otherwise you're just going to bang your head against the wall.
Sorry, Tom. Didn't
Go
mean to
ahead.
interrupt, but anyhow, show me what perseverance looks like then. Because the way you're describing it, it's an emotion versus an action plan or strategy. If we're talking about what does perseverance look like in business, train me on perseverance, I guess, versus resilience or commitment or just plain stubbornness.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think perseverance is literally, the act. It is an act, right, of continuing to try to do something despite facing difficulties, right? Despite challenges, in the face of accomplishing whatever you're trying to accomplish, right? That is perseverance. And when I talk about perseverance in the context of business, what you're trying to accomplish is measurable success in your business, at least for most people. Success is measured in different industries and in different businesses with different KPIs, right? But generally speaking, in a for-profit business, one of the ones you're talking about is revenue over time, right? You want to see growth in revenue over time. You want to see growth in customer base over time. You want to see improvements in customer retention over time, right? That idea of progress, positive progress over time, right? And so what I'm talking about when I talk about perseverance in business is continually working towards accomplishing those things, taking action, doing work, whether that be marketing work, outreach. I mean, it takes a lot of different forms. We're talking broad concept rather than specific act. In this case, I'm not trying to lay out a prescription for it. I'm talking about it in terms of theory, right, rather than specific action. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about when I talk about perseverance when it comes to business, is continuing to work towards and drive progress by continuing to work despite facing inevitable difficulties. Every business faces challenges. And the only way you will find success is if you continue to work despite facing those challenges. And to me, that's what perseverance is all about in business. I hope that answers your question.
So what I hear you saying, Sam, using those coaching skills you talk about all the time, what I hear you saying is perseverance as defined in business is, one, to reflect what happened, to review why it happened and where I'm going, and then maybe we could throw in another R, re-strategize how I'm going to achieve that same objective. I think the difference between perseverance, I think the definer for perseverance is that reflection and review piece. Like, where am I going? Why is that important? Is that still the objective? Or am I just sticking to it so my dad doesn't call me a quitter?
You got to laugh out of me. I'm quitting this conversation. All right.
I was going to say, if that's how you want to define it for yourself, Eric, that's fine. I'm not going to define it for people, right? So like, if that's what makes sense to you and that's how you want to define it for yourself, cool. If that works, if that makes sense for you, cool. But like I'm not trying to define it for everybody. And that's why I specifically said, I'm not going to prescribe how it works, right? Because it's different for everyone.
Okay, let's go. Hold on. We got Chris is chiming in. We got 3 chime-ins. You each got 30 seconds. Chris chimed in, Jason chimed in, Brian chimed in. No long diatribes. Give Tom shit or Eric shit. I allow it. And then we are moving on. Chris, go on.
It's all the same thing. It's like if you're making a stew, there's potatoes, there's vegetables, there's meat. Perseverance is what you have to have in the beginning, but you can have redefined objective, and it's always less than a clock. You learn from your mistakes, and you don't persevere by jumping into the wood chipper. You find a better way. It's just all ingredients. I think sometimes we can get into like deep semantics and break something down. There's another thing. Over defining and overthinking can keep you from persevering.
Okay, but now I'll defend Chris here. We're just having a conversation here, so he can say what the hell he wants to say. All right, Jason, go on.
Absolutely. He can say, oh, sorry. Yeah, I love it. I love the conversation.
That's right. All right, free country, as we saw yesterday. Some people go this way, some people go that way. Whatever. Jason, what do you got? This is on the subject of this quick one. Then I'll come back to you on perseverance, but just on
perseverance and resilience. I just look at the raw definition, and that raw definition is, resilience is the ability to recover, right? Where, and that's resilience to me. Perseverance is the importance that that you have the skill to overcome whatever it is, right? So resilience is you have the grit. You already been through some wars. You already been through tough situations, right? It's then becomes that you understand what you're bringing to the table and going at it, and not keep doing the same thing over, which either makes you stupid or crazy.
All right, there you go. You're good. Now we'll come back to you after in a few. Swifty, do you want to add something on that? Quick answer on that.
Sure, I agree with Jason's definition. I don't like to get caught up and become, get this paralysis by analysis. I call it all grit. If you got to have a grit mindset, that's the ability to overcome. It's the ability to keep going after you overcome. And it's, to me, all a grit mindset. The why doesn't matter. I don't care if you're doing it for your dad, as long as you're doing it, because eventually if you do it long enough, you'll be doing it for you. So for me, the why doesn't matter. As long as you keep on going, the why will come and the clarity will come. I just call it all grit. But
a grit sandwich. All right, we're coming back to you. Go on. Hold on, Swifty. Jimmy, on that subject of this argument, did you have a question, or you want to hang out a few minutes till we're talking straight perseverance again? Jimmy's here for the entertainment. Oh, go on, Jimmy. I'm here. Go on. What do you got?
No, I'm here. I think that's a good point. People overanalyze this too much. I mean, I'm in sales, and you're never gonna win 100% of your sales ever. And in life, you're not gonna win 100% of the time. But you have perseverance. You keep going. You have grit, like Brian said. You keep going. And I'd be interested to ask your dad one thing. In my business, if I lose a sale, I never burn a bridge because I know at some point they could circle back and come to me at some point. I wonder how many bids your dad has lost and then gained in the future because either they didn't do what they said, or the quality was bad, or the workmanship is bad, whatever. That's how we get by. I've been doing this for 10 years now. I can think of at least 5 or 6 major things we've won that we lost initially, but we kept going and we got it. So just keep going and don't overanalyze it.
There we go. Okay, Tom. Now we shook things up a little. You know what time it is. You want to set us up here?
Yeah. We shook the tree a little bit. Some things fell out. I like it. It's good. It's constructive. It's always nice to hear people's thoughts and get people thinking about something enough that they formulate an opinion on it, right? I think that's a positive. That's something positive, right? If you think about something enough to formulate an opinion, that means you're exercising some critical thinking, and that is a good thing. Critical thinking is always a good thing. So I like it. I like it when the conversation gets lively like that. But we do have something we have to do, something we do every week in Not the Smartest Guys in the Room, and that is your show and tell. So what do you got for us this week, Dom?
Okay, in honor of a free country that had an election last night and critical thinking that you just said, I pulled out a pile of books, just a quick pile that I'm going to show. And so I'm just going to go quickly through each one. Okay. This is, can you see that? Link in the Unknown? Okay. These are a few that I've read. Link in the Unknown. Sarah Palin. Killing Kennedy. Harry Truman. Hold on here. Oh, no. I blew it in the middle of show and tell, Tom. How'd I do it?
You unmuted something, and now you've got an echo.
No, I can't see myself.
No, now you're fine. Now you sound okay.
Okay. Now I'm back.
Okay.
So okay. So then,
Dom, just persevere, buddy. Persevere.
Thank you, Chris. I need it. I won't give up on you. Okay.
Here you go.
So we had Sarah Palin, we had Lincoln, we had Kennedy, we have Barack Obama, the Promised Land, and then we have Ronald Reagan here, Ronald Reagan, An American Life. So I just wanted to show you that I'm trying to learn from everybody, just like I learned from each person in the room. I try to learn to critical think, and these are all different people on all sides, all wrote very good books, and I enjoy learning from all sides. So that's what I got for you. That was show and tell. Go on.
I appreciate that. You know, I've always been a big fan of critical thinking. I think it is one of the most underrated skills that you can develop from a good education. And that is not just the ability to know things, but the ability to know enough to question the things that you know, right? I think that sort of critical thinking is how we as a society persevere when we face difficulty, right? The ability to examine and think critically about circumstances, about the decisions we make, about the actions we take, and the repercussions of those actions, I think, are all incredibly important. And I think that it only happens successfully when you do practice empathy and try to understand opposing viewpoints, right? So I think it was a good show and tell today, Dom. I appreciate it. I always try to practice empathy and understand other people's viewpoints. Maybe that doesn't always come across. I'm not always 100% successful in other people seeing that, but I promise I do try. I do try to practice empathy, and I do try to understand other people's viewpoints, even if I continue to disagree with you. That doesn't mean that I don't understand what you're saying. I may not agree with it, but I do try to understand. And I think the more critical thinking we can encourage people to do, the better off we will all be. So listen, learn, and then question the things that you're told in a constructive way to better understand them, right? And to better understand why they're being told to you. So yeah, I think Dr. Tachi chimed in, wearing her professorial hat, so to speak, and said, yeah, too many people don't exhibit critical thinking skills, and it is often discouraged on a broad level. I agree with her, and I think the more people that we can encourage to demonstrate critical thinking and to question in a constructive way, to constructively question the things that we are taught and told and know, the better off we'll all be. So thanks for sharing that, Dom.
I am a pretty good guy, so let's land on that. Okay, we're back. We're talking perseverance before we get to show and tell, and only because Jason, we're coming to you, but because I am a softie and Eric put a sad face up, I'm going to Eric first. Eric, you got 10 more seconds on it, and then I'm going to Jason, Brian, Julie, and Jimmy. What do you got, Eric?
No, I'm cool. Go ahead.
I know I'm a no sad face zone. See, that's why my Facebook feed is full of puppies and rainbows. Like there are nonstop right now on my Facebook feed and my Instagram, pugs, just like pugs in costume, pugs looking out the window, pugs get in a bath, monkeys get in a bath. That's how I decompress, seeing, puppies and rainbows all the time, man. Okay, talking perseverance. Jason, Brian, last thoughts on perseverance. Give me something. What do you got, Jason?
You know what? To get to perseverance and resilience, what is the end effect? It's appreciation and acceptance. And how do you get that? It's the application. It's the practice. It's the trust. It's the belief. I can't get any better. If you can't get to acceptance, you can't get to being received or being receptive by others. And that's a very difficult mountain to climb, because we think too much and do so little many times. But then there are times we overdo it and not step back and learn from what we've done and how I can actually add to the quality, not just for myself, but for others. Like, I had a great conversation about a week ago with Eric, and we were talking about like my brand identity and what he saw, like in the website. Like, he saw a picture, what I was posting in Clubhouse. This is what I see. This is what I feel. And he gave all these critiques, not criticisms. He gave me all these critiques of what he saw as the viewer, like as my picture, right? And it was about part of my brand. And I showed him several different versions. Then I gave him my website view, and he's like, this is what I feel. And I didn't offer any interjections, because I wanted to learn what the outside user of me is seeing me as. What is his feelings, and is it aligned with me presenting my message? So get over what's being described. If it bugs me and it hurts me, okay, that's a me problem. But if it bugs him, then that's his problem. So to wrap it all up is how you take considerations to be able to your application, to your acceptance, and then you have appreciation. And that's what makes it all work together. So perseverance and resilience are all micro ingredients, but you got to understand, stop making the same choice over and over and think it's going to work. Make sure that you understand the quality you're putting into it, but not too much emotional attachment. And that's where I stand.
Jason, good stuff. I love that me problem type thing. So you might find yourself in a clip. I'll go through that and see. That was a good take on that. I will tell you, so on the Brian Swift thoughts on perseverance, but something Jason said, I ask Brian some days, like, Brian, what do you think about this? Like, about my brand or my business? And he'll say, oh, you're doing this, or this is, and I'm like, okay, so I don't take anything personal, or like Jason said, it would be a me problem. Brian he's a friend trying to help. And I would say the same things back to Brian. Knows if I tell him something, it is out of love. It is out of love. It's only from my view. Doesn't mean I'm right. It's his opinion, somebody that I love, so I respect it. Doesn't mean I have to change. It means that somebody I loved, somebody I trust, gave me this opinion. So then I can do with what I want with that information. So, Mr. Swift, talking perseverance, Julie, Jimmy, and then we got a wrap up. Go on. What do you final thoughts on perseverance, Mr. Swift?
Well, perseverance, resilience. I mean, they're just a part in their steps to success, which I believe rest a lot on your why, because it's that why that keeps you persevering, and it is that perseverance that, in my opinion, makes you gritty, that allows you to get through it. And I think there's something we talk about why, what's your why? Your why is important. And I think there's something bigger than your why that, man, I'd love to start talking about, maybe even hold a room on. And I think that's your purpose. Your purpose to me is greater than your why. I think your why is a part of your purpose. And I think that if you have a strong purpose and a strong why, then it helps you persevere through the crap times, and it helps you be resilient when you get hit with those things that sometimes bring people down, whether it's somebody disagreeing with you or negative comments, or just, the stumbling blocks in entrepreneurship and life. It's not, are they out there? You're going to get hit with them in life, in relationships, and things of that nature. And, Dom, we come from a generation where we agree to disagree. I think that was just something we grew up with too, even though I got some years on you. So what people think just seems to matter a little bit, especially the negative stuff, matters less to me personally, because I respect you. And I believe you would tell me, whatever you tell me is from your heart. And I have to take that into consideration without it being a personal issue. And I think you have to learn to get to that in order to grow. I am complete.
Swifty, Love You Like a Love Song. I will remind everybody that when me and Brian first became friends, if you don't know this story, that we met on the internet and I stayed at his house. I drove this. I don't remember if I drove or flew. I must have flown and then took an Uber to Brian's house, stayed at his house with his family. My wife thought Brian was going to kill me, and Brian's wife thought I was going to sneak up from the basement and kill all them. Instead, we became great friends. So, all right, we continue. Julie said she was listening, so I'm going to go to Jimmy unless Julie flashes off while Jimmy is talking. Then we will get our fine wrap up from Jimmy. So my friend Jimmy, who I apologize because I have assumed in the past, but I am my friend. This is a good friend that says I assume sometimes. So I take it because I trust this guy and I can do better. What do you got, my friend? What's up, Jimmy?
No, my thought is, just be you. I mean, if you're you, you shouldn't care about what other people think of you. And when you start to care about what other people think of you, then you stop becoming you. So be yourself. If people accept you, great. If they don't, F them, who cares? And, yesterday I had a conversation with a good friend about politics. We agreed on some stuff. We disagreed on some stuff. But at the end of the day, we're still going to be great friends. So that's how you should be. Let people know how you feel about things. And if they don't want to be around you, that's probably a good thing. I'll end on that.
All right. Peace out, Jimmy. You are the man. Okay. So hold on here before we get to the wrap up. I got to tell you, Jason said he had 3 of the books I had. Dr. Tachi on YouTube said, great show and tell. That's what we like, some comments on positive things. And she also said on YouTube, this is cool. So now, Tom, speaking of cool things, do you have a cool wrap up for us today?
I don't know how cool it is. That feels like unnecessary pressure, but I'll try to make it cool. I was trying to make it inspirational, but we'll see where we end up, right? So I think we talked today about perseverance. Perseverance that was something that was on my mind, kind of related to but independent of the election yesterday. But here we are, right? The day after the election, we have a result. regardless of in the presidential race anyway, regardless of where you stand, or where you align politically, there is no doubt that there is a strong division in the populace of our country. The vote was pretty split, right? And so there is a pretty strong division, and the way forward is going to be challenging for all of us in different ways. It's going to be more challenging for some than others, but it is going to be challenging for everyone. And so I think that we are all going to have to practice some perseverance going forward. And I think that there are a couple of things that we hit on today that will help all of us in doing that, in developing the resilience we need to practice perseverance. And that is to do our best to practice empathy, to understand other people, their positions, their thoughts, their feelings, and where they're coming from, and why they believe what they believe. But then also to think critically about the things we know, about the things we're told, and to actually not just listen and learn, but then analyze and question. And that is a hallmark of our democracy. It always has been the right of the populace to question the government, and I don't want us to stop doing that. So that's all I would say. I was reminded, as I was thinking about what to say for this wrap up, I was reminded of a quote that is often misquoted from the Robert Frost poem, "A Servant to Servants." The way it's misquoted is a lot of people will say the only way forward is through, or something, words to that effect. The actual quote from the poem is, "The best way out is always through." And I think that's something that is worth bearing in mind and worth thinking about as we all work to persevere in our business lives, in our personal lives, whatever the case may be for you. So to quote Robert Frost, the best way out is always through. That's all I got for today. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys. You guys are the reason we do this. Apologies for being a little bit late this morning, but thank you all for being here. Thank you for being here on time with my buddy Dom. Dom, thanks for starting the room without me and keeping things moving despite my conspicuous absence for the first couple of minutes. I appreciate you. I appreciate all you guys. And really, really appreciate you guys showing up every week. You guys are the reason why we do Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. So thanks for that. For Dom, I'm Tom. And we will see you guys next Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time right here on Not the Smartest Guys. Until then, have a great rest of your week. We love you. We appreciate you. We wish you the best. Bye-bye.